Join our family of creators. Your support means the world to us. Subscribe now to the Content Creator channel. Your support keeps us motivated and helps us bring you fresh, exciting content every week. Hit that subscribe button and be part of our journey. Imagine America at a crossroads, a pivotal moment in its history. The choices we make now will determine the course of our nation for generations to come. One path leads back to the familiar, to the comforting embrace of tradition. The other veers off into the unknown, a landscape of uncertainty and potential. Which will we choose? This is America in July 2025, a nation grappling with its identity, its values, and its future. Still wrestling with the aftermath of a political earthquake, the tremors of which continue to shake the foundations of our society. The Trump presidency didn't just divide us, it exposed fault lines that had been simmering beneath the surface for decades. It redefined what it means to be American, challenging long-held beliefs and forcing us to question our shared values. Two Americas emerged, seemingly irreconcilable in their views and aspirations, each with its own facts, its own media echo chamber, and its own vision for the future of this nation. One saw a champion for the forgotten, a voice for the working class, a leader who promised to restore America to its former glory. The other, a threat to democracy, a demagogue who stoked division and undermined the very institutions that protect our freedoms. The center ground of American politics has nearly vanished, eroded by the forces of polarization and extremism. Can we reclaim it? Can we find common ground and rebuild the bridges that have been burned? The legacy of this era is still being written, not just in the history books, but in the daily lives of ordinary Americans. In policy, in our laws, and in the hearts of the people, shaping our values and beliefs for years to come. We're living with the consequences of a presidency that challenged every norm, that tested the limits of our democracy, and that left deep scars on the American psyche. It forced us to confront who we are, our strengths and weaknesses, our hopes and fears, and who we want to be, what kind of nation we aspire to create for ourselves and for future generations. The path forward is uncertain, shrouded in mist and fraught with peril, a tightrope over deep distrust where every step must be taken with caution and care. Can we bridge the gap? Can we overcome our differences and find common ground? Or are we destined to remain divided, fractured into warring factions, unable to unite in pursuit of a common purpose? These aren't just questions for politicians and pundits, they're not just abstract political debates, they're challenges for all of us, for every American who cares about the future of this country. The future of the American experiment depends on whether we can heal, whether we can mend the tears in our social fabric, and restore our sense of national unity. The story of what happens next is ours to write, a blank page waiting to be filled with hope, courage, and a renewed commitment to the ideals that have always defined us. Can the center hold? Can we find the strength to come together and build a better future? Or will we remain a house divided, weakened by internal strife and unable to face the challenges that lie ahead? The choice ultimately is ours. To understand today's America, a nation grappling with its identity and future, we need to delve into the recent past. We must examine the policies and philosophies that have shaped the current political landscape and the forces that continue to drive division and debate. We must revisit the America First doctrine. This ideology, with its emphasis on national interests above all else, became a defining characteristic of a particular era. It promised to prioritize the well-being of American citizens and businesses, often at the expense of international cooperation and established norms. Trump's approach upended decades of policy, a dramatic shift from the established order. It challenged the assumptions that had guided American foreign and domestic policy for generations, leaving a lasting impact on the nation's trajectory, on immigration, trade, the environment, and foreign relations. Each of these areas experienced significant changes, reflecting a fundamental shift in priorities and values. The wall became a symbol of a new restrictive immigration stance, one that prioritized border security and limited access to the country. Trade wars replaced free trade, with tariffs on China and new deals like USMCA, reshaping global economic relationships. Environmental regulations were slashed, and the U.S. withdrew from the Paris Agreement, signaling a departure from international efforts to combat climate change. Alliances were questioned, multilateralism gave way to transactional deals, altering the dynamics of international diplomacy. America's role in the world, and its character at home, was radically remade. The very fabric of American society seemed to be undergoing a profound transformation. Supporters saw bold leadership, critics saw chaos and retreat. The nation was deeply divided, with starkly contrasting perspectives on the direction the country was heading. The disruption was deliberate, and its effects are still unfolding, shaping the political and social landscape of the present day. This was a blueprint for shaking the system to its core, a deliberate attempt to redefine America's place in the world and its relationship with its own citizens. Immigration became far more than just a policy issue. It rapidly transformed into the emotional epicenter of the Trump era. It ignited passions, fueled protests, and became a defining characteristic of the political landscape. The wall wasn't just concrete. It was more than just a physical barrier. It was a message, a very clear and deliberate one. America is changing who it lets in, signaling a shift in the nation's approach to immigration and border control. Policies like the travel ban, which restricted entry from several Muslim-majority countries, and the highly controversial family separations at the border, shocked the world with their severity and perceived inhumanity, and deeply divided the nation along ideological lines. Refugee admissions plummeted to historic lows, reflecting a significant change in priorities. Legal immigration became demonstrably harder, with increased scrutiny and bureaucratic hurdles making the process more complex and time-consuming. Industries relying heavily on immigrant labor, such as agriculture, construction, and hospitality, struggled to find workers, leading to economic challenges. All the while, heated debates raged over the potential impacts on jobs, wages, and the overall economy. The political rhetoric often painted immigrants as threats to national security and economic stability, contributing to a climate of fear and suspicion. This divisive rhetoric further deepened existing social divides, exacerbating tensions within communities and across the country. For some, the focus was primarily on national sovereignty and border security, viewing stricter immigration policies as essential for protecting the nation. For others, these policies represented a profound betrayal of core American ideals of inclusivity, opportunity, and welcoming immigrants. The very promise inscribed at the base of the Statue of Liberty, offering refuge to the world's huddled masses, was called into serious question. The debate transcended policy and became a fundamental moral one, touching upon the very essence of American identity. The central question became, who gets to be American, and what are the criteria for belonging? The country was undeniably split on these issues, creating deep fissures in the social and political fabric. As a result, the American welcome mat, once seen as a symbol of openness and opportunity, was effectively redrawn, reflecting a more restrictive and selective approach to immigration. America First sent shockwaves through global trade and alliances. Tariffs on China sparked a trade war, hurting farmers and raising prices. Long-standing alliances like NATO were tested, and trust in U.S. leadership wavered. The Iran nuclear deal was abandoned, straining ties with Europe. Some saw necessary tough love, others saw lasting damage. America's predictability vanished, and rivals like China and Russia filled the void. The world became more volatile, and America's global role was questioned. The disruption's legacy is still being navigated today. Environmental policy saw a dramatic reversal. Regulations were slashed to boost industry, especially fossil fuels. The U.S. exited the Paris Agreement, signaling a retreat from global climate leadership. Clean air, water, and endangered species protections were rolled back. Supporters cheered economic gains. Critics warned of environmental disaster. The pause in climate action set the U.S. and world back in fighting global warming. Public lands opened for drilling. Fuel standards weakened. The long-term costs, dirtier air, health risks, and climate setbacks, are still being tallied. The battle over America's environmental future is far from over. The planet's fate became a political gamble. The Biden administration arrived with a mandate to restore and rebuild. Day one, rejoin the Paris Agreement, halt the wall, end the travel ban. Efforts began to overhaul immigration and repair alliances. But reversing Trump-era changes proved slow and complex. Many policies were embedded in bureaucracy or upheld by courts. Some tariffs and judicial appointments remain, shaping the future. Trust in institutions is harder to restore than policy. The scars of disruption linger, even as restoration is underway. In summer 2025, America's divisions remain deep. We disagree on facts, not just policy, making unity elusive. Families and communities are fractured. Trust in institutions is low. Yet history shows America can move forward even if imperfectly. The hope lies in shared values: liberty, equality, rule of law. Media bubbles and social media fuel polarization. Political incentives reward division, not compromise. Healing will happen in communities, not just Washington. It requires listening, seeking common ground, and rejecting demonization. The road is long, but unity is possible, if we choose it. The future rests in the hands of the people, not just